And next we have Macrocosm book number 1, Sanctum, written by Matthew Powell. It is 285 pages, $2.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the author's description. When Joshua downloaded Macrocosm, he had expected it to be a brand new game like any other. It was new, it was shiny, and that meant that he would be able to make a killing by playing it. Josh was a professional gamer, someone who makes a living by selling items and accounts in the 23rd century, and Macrocosm promises to be better than every game before it. When he discovers that starting as a zombie provides amazing bonuses, Joshua felt like he didn't have a choice but to pick it up. Macrocosm has its own gods, and they treat players like pawns in their own little games. Joshua quickly draws the attention of the Plague God Filth, and his peaceful plans quickly take a turn for the worse as he finds himself the subject of one such game. Behind the scenes, the mysterious company behind Macrocosm has its own plans. What are they recruiting high-level players for, and why are these players never seen again? That is more of a series description, to be honest. Some of that starts here, but I think it's more of something you're going to see in book 2 and book 3 or whatever it is for the series. This is a kind of a mixed bag. That novel description doesn't really apply to the story. The cover art is not super engaged and doesn't tell you much about the story. So when I started reading this novel, I wasn't really sure what to expect. But I'm glad I gave it a chance. I am. This is a good story, though you have to push through the beginning a little. Like that novel description, it's doing a job of setting up a series instead of just this particular story. And I get that. It's something that kind of draws away from my enjoyment a little bit, but still, you know, it's just something. The rest of the story is still very entertaining. It's good. You just have to kind of get through that. I don't think you really need for book 1, but again, I get it. Set up for the series. This turns out to be a monster main character story. The main character is playing as a VR MMO as a zombie, with the premise of like him earning a living, selling rare loot and game accounts. That premise fades away fairly quickly, and it's really just a slice of life story where you follow the main character as he makes his character, discovers the drawbacks of being a zombie as well as the potential overpowered aspects. He fights, dungeon dives, levels, eventually connects with other players, and I think the story picks up pace there a little bit and improves. The story game mechanic wise reminds me of Headshot by Matthew Sieg, and if you ever read that, it's a very similar premise of like the characters fighting as the zombies instead of the player side, and that's what this is essentially. And part of the draw for those particular stories is just kind of seeing what it's like to be a monster, and the evolutions of the zombie race, essentially. And that's what's here as well. The author of this particular novel has unique evolutionary paths, has unique, actually shares some zombie character traits and that are pulling from common like zombie game stuff. So it's, but the author here for this main character has a unique evolutionary path. So it's not like they're copying each other. And there's definitely less player versus player combat in this particular story. Like Headshot definitely revolved around PvP. And this one just feels a little more fantasy-esque in its setup of the game world. The main character levels killing zombies. He gets a unique class. He gets abilities and skills. There are plenty of crunchy details in here for you folks who care about that. Character sheets, stats, damage notifications, item and monster descriptions, a ton of crunchy stuff. There's a good RPG progression with the main character's pestilence powers. There's a sort of crafting system here as well, and multiple progression paths that the main character reasons through. Like every time he has an opportunity to level, you can choose different traits for a zombie that will lead him down different character paths potentially. And one of the things I always like about a good story in an RPG is you're not just getting information, you're also getting the character's thoughts about their playstyle, the way that they're thinking about how they're crafting their characters, because that's what gamers do. And it's a good insight into the character in my opinion. This one definitely has that. There's plenty of information in the story to create your own zombie character if you wanted to for the same MMO. And I think it's always a good sign of, a story with good RPG details for people who like that kind of stuff. Overall, had a good time with the story. I think, again, the zombie evolutions are probably one of the more interesting aspects of the story. Gets a score from me of 7.3 out of 10. That's Macrocosm book number 1, Sanctum, with the score of 7.3 out of 10.